It is Wednesday, November 12th. We are Primetime Props, props.com, where all of our content is free. We got an NBA slate, another night in the association where absolutely nothing is going on, as my good friend Keith Eister said here momentarily. We'll dive into all the chaos. I'm here with Keith. I'm here with Justin Bales, and we have a bunch of injuries, as usual, on a loaded Wednesday night slate. Again, I'll let people fill in here. If you're tuning in, my guy Alpha Dog Sports Bet will be joining us later in the show to share some of his best bets and picks as well. Just another Wednesday. NBA is taking center stage with no NFL football. Bales, I'll throw it over to you first. I know you've been swamped doing some college basketball stuff as well. Crazy slate last night. How's everything going?
Everything's going well. Yeah. I mean, we're not in the full swing of college yet, but we're getting there. And I don't know. We still have, the teams playing the cupcake matchups. I can't stand it. But, I mean, for NBA, is there anything worse than it being early November and guys like Donovan Mitchell are taking rest nights? Why don't, thinking about it like with any amount of logic, why don't we just take away the back-to-back games? Just don't schedule them anymore.
Yeah, I mean, Keith, there's nothing worse also than doing content and then it getting flipped on his head as well. But Bales, Keith and I both know you're not a Joel Embiid advocate, but at least he has a little bit of a reason here. Just chronic injuries, right? Not just like, well, I partied hard in South Beach or wherever I was last night, or just simply load management 10 games into the season is pretty chaotic.
Yeah, Embiid's different. I'm not opposed to Embiid as a good player. I fully understand that he's a great player in the NBA. I'm opposed to the weird tactics that he's constantly going through off the court. It's weird. It's too much. I don't like it. 2, dude, you can't watch the Sixers because he's on the ground for 95% of the game. It's absolutely unbearable for the game. Those are the only reasons that I'm not an Embiid guy. I do think that Embiid is just an incredible talent. And also, fully on board with the Sixers resting him. He's not one of the guys that I'm referring to when I'm like, come on, early November rest days is getting to be a bit much. Like Donovan Mitchell, we're sitting in the prime of Donovan Mitchell's career, and he's not injured at all. They just don't want him to play that game. And I don't know. It's strange at this point. It feels weird.
It's not even like Donovan, like you said, he's in the prime. He's not even old. The Cleveland situation is definitely frustrating. When we're talking about like real injuries, I'm totally fine with guys taking their time. Like with what Dallas is doing with Anthony Davis right now, that's just smart. I mean, we saw it last season. Sorry, Indiana fans. Sorry, Boston fans. But these guys dealing with calf injuries can lead to much bigger things. So what Dallas is doing with Anthony Davis and giving him his time and letting him get fully healthy before he tries to rush back and ends up with a much more longer term injury, I think that type of stuff is smart. But agreed, like on the back-to-back days, like these rest situations are frustrating.
It's also hilarious. We're like the old heads now. You don't rest players.
It's old man yells at cloud.
But I mean, no, I agree with that. Like, if people are even like minimally hurt, I'm okay giving them extra days to chill out. Like, but when on the injury report, like it just says that they're getting a rest day, like there's built-in rest days for team. Like that's a thing. We don't need to bench 26-year-olds because you play a back-to-back. I don't know. It doesn't make that much sense to me.
Yeah, it's brutal. And if you're just joining us, hit that YouTube channel for us. We could use all the support, subscription, give us a like for the show. We'll keep giving you free content. Everything at props.com, totally free. We got all kinds of hoop stuff, NFL, you name it, NHL props. We got it all at props.com, all free. First basket predictions for NBA, first touchdown for NFL, anytime TDs for NFL. You name it, we're here live Wednesdays and Fridays from 4 to 5 as well. On Fridays, we're with our good friend Jeff Edelstein. Later in tonight's show, we'll have Alpha Dog Sports Bet with us. My guy Alpha, he's hopping in for our final segment to talk some best bets and some general takes on the slate. And we'll talk about some injuries you can see on the screen here. It is not a quiet evening in the association. For the Bulls, we have Josh Giddey, who's questionable. Kobe White, Zach Collins remain out. For the Pistons, Cade Cunningham, a bajillion shot attempts the other night. I mean, he went peak Kobe. He didn't care. He didn't care who was on the team. He was just shucking, and he put up – did he hit 100 fantasy points, Keith, the other night? Is that what it was?
I think he fell just short. He was in the 90s for sure.
That was like peak Russell Westbrook, James Harden, 14K days a couple of years ago. And if you were on the DK streets, you know exactly what we're talking about. One big one there, Jalen Duren, who's off to an awesome start this year, was downgraded from probable, so that's big to watch. You can see the guys that remain out here. Tobias Harris remains out. Asar Thompson is out. For the Bucks, a big one midday. Giannis is no longer playing basketball this evening. That is obviously huge when it comes to prop lines and figuring out the best DFS plays because, yeah, there's going to be some more usage in minutes to go around for sure with the Bucks without Giannis tonight. For Charlotte, Colin Sexton, probable. No LaMelo, no Brandon Miller. I mean, it's just brutal. It's just, I feel like it's the same garbage every year with the Hornets. Just injuries, and LaMelo's hurt quite often as well. I mean, it's like, when do we start having a LaMelo conversation? I don't know. Fantastic at basketball, don't get me wrong, but hurt a lot. Moving on here, some big ones. Cleveland, we talked about them. Cleveland is doing Cleveland things. Apparently that's going to happen this year. No Donovan Mitchell for Cleveland. Darius Garland out. Apparently he can't play multiple games in a row. Evan Mobley, yeah, he's old, right? Let's sit him. Being sarcastic, by the way. So Cleveland with a hockey shift line change tonight coming in. Miami is without Bam. And, of course, Tyler Hero. We got a Q tag on Ja. We'll see. I know it says ankle there. It should be parentheses joy of basketball, maybe. I don't know. Zach Edey eventually coming back. That'll be a big lift to the Grizzlies, who made a late push yesterday in New York. Too little, too late, I suppose. Boston on the second leg of a back-to-back. We don't really see anything yet. For Golden State, it sounds like Curry is cleared to go. Draymond, he's been cheap on the DFS streets. He looks like he's going to play. We're not sure about Kuminga yet. Let's see. Moving on here, Dylan Harper. That's sad that he's hurt. Was really fun to watch, and he has a very high ceiling throughout the rest of his career. So, they get De'Aaron Fox back in San Antonio, and they lose Dylan Harper. That stinks. Hopefully a speedy recovery there. Really no surprises in Portland. The Pelicans aren't going to have Jordan Poole. Really no surprises there as well. Zion, another guy who just can't stay on his feet. Bilal's out for Washington, which has opened the door for some guys like Trey Johnson to get some burn. It's been fun. By the way, Alex Sarr, talk about a guy who's taken a step forward here. I'm going to keep rambling and not let you talk so I can finish this. Jalen Green out for Phoenix. The Mavericks. See you later, Nico. That's the real news there. See you later, Nico. I believe Anthony Davis, is he confirmed out since I wrote this up? Is he not playing tonight?
Yep.
Okay.
Just got rolled up.
So Anthony Davis is out, courtesy of Keith Eister. Breaking news. Keith Eister says Anthony Davis is out. LeBron's with the G League. That's fun. Not playing basketball yet, but they will have Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves tonight. That looks like they're good. The Thunder were pretty active on the injury report. I thought I saw more there. Dort's not playing. Is there anything else in OKC going on that I missed, guys, or is that it for now?
Let me see. Chet's out, right?
Chet is in. Dort, Wiggins, and obviously Jalen Williams are still out. Caruso and Chet are both in.
Interesting. Okay. Well, that kind of affects OKC's defense more than their offense without Lou, if you're kind of in the individual matchup world and things like that. But Lou Dort is out and Chet is in. And for the Hawks, we have an NAW. Nah is questionable and Trae Young remains out. Nah's another guy who took another nice step forward after getting some burn in the Olympics. That was big for a lot of guys. We saw Yabusele do really well and get signed by Philly, and a bunch of guys really took off that played in the Olympics, which was cool. The biggest news, and it's not on the DraftKings slate, but it's on the FanDuel main slate, and it's one of the late night hammers here, is Bradley Beal done for the year. A guy who's been battling injuries and just a strange career trajectory he's had. He was like one of the two guys and the guy on a really bad Wizards team for a while. Of course, then he went to Phoenix. Now he's in LA, but they're going to be without him for the remainder of the year, which I didn't see coming. So I guess just, Keith, I'll throw it over to you. What's your immediate reaction to the Beal news? whether it's Clippers outlook, and of course we can dive into for FanDuel purposes and prop betting, like what it means for tonight for DFS and sports betting purposes.
I'm just not even sure Bradley Beal's good anymore. That's the problem here. I was not a fan of this Clippers team from Jump Street. Harden getting up there in age. Kawhi has trouble staying healthy himself. Zubac took a nice step forward last season, but I wasn't a fan of the roster construction. The roster was just a little bit too old. And like I said, like Beal wasn't even all that productive his couple of years in Phoenix with Durant. So why is he going to go be productive alongside Harden and Kawhi? I don't know. I never really understood the acquisition in the first place. Obviously, no longer matters now, and it's just back to the Harden show at this point until Kawhi can come back. I still think they're like going to hang around the play-in tournament just because they have Harden and Kawhi. And like I said, Zubac is a nice piece, but definitely hurts their championship aspirations, I suppose. But yeah, not a team that I was really all that high on this season anyway.
Yeah, go ahead, Bales. What do you think?
I agree. I mean, it's not like Beal was lighting the world on fire. Like he was averaging like 20 minutes a game, like 8 points a game. Like it just wasn't a huge part. And realistically, when you look at like essentially even just like the percentages and like what he's doing and whatnot, other guys that are going to pick up a few extra minutes, it's not like they're going to be really, I don't want to say like worse. Maybe they'll be their ceiling compared to what Beal can do in terms of just like raw scoring will be a little bit worse, but like it's just going to be more Harden. I mean, it already was. Like I don't think that Beal was making. I think Beal's name, I guess, is the best way to put it, was making a bigger impact than he would have basically the entire season for the Clippers. Like he was just not an extra guy, but like it was a pretty small role, and it probably wasn't going to ever grow into anything huge.
Yeah, he ran the numbers. It looks like Harden, to no surprise, massive usage bump without Beal and Kawhi on the floor. I didn't toy with anybody else for this year, just those two. Looks like he was getting about a 6% usage bump. I mean, we're not surprised here. Harden, again, who the Clippers aren't on the DraftKings main slate, but they're on the FanDuel main. Keith, I mean, is he an obvious priority for FanDuel now tonight?
Yeah, I mean, look at what he just did last night, 35-point triple-double. Like Harden still got it. He might be getting up there in age a little bit, but he can definitely still play. So, yeah, I mean, he will have to do everything there.
Anything else on the Clippers, fellas, or should we start kind of moving into a little game-by-game breakdown here? A lot to unpack tonight.
Yeah, let's move it along.
All right, let's do it. We have Milwaukee and Charlotte, and if you just missed our injury report, feel free to rewind, or we'll talk about some injuries throughout the rest of the program here. But Milwaukee, the big one here is Giannis was a midday rule out. So obviously there is a lot to go around, and I haven't checked the line movement, but they're playing Charlotte, who's also decimated. So there's a chance this thing is still competitive, and you know, if you're worrying about blowouts, I probably wouldn't. And at this point, with how volatile the NBA is, when I play DFS, I'm trying really hard to not worry about blowouts. Keith, I know you and Grande are a good friend over at Fantasy Alarm, kind of chat about that often here. Man, Kyle Kuzma has just been awful since he's been a Buck. There's no nice way to put it. Like, historical data and the projections and everything is going to say, why wouldn't you play Kyle Kuzma at 5,200? And it is Charlotte. It is a cupcake matchup. You know, they brought Miles Turner in town. I'll have to look at the usage numbers as well. But there are some mid-range price guys, and I'm not sure if any new projections or props are out for betting since the Giannis news, but I'm not sure how much they've moved. So what's the interest here with the Bucks? Feel free to talk some DFS or betting, Keith. I'll let you go first.
Apparently the theme of the show is former Washington Wizards who are no longer good at basketball because that is exactly what Kyle Kuzma is. It's just not been a fit at all alongside Giannis. Has lost a lot of minutes this season, has hardly been playing. I don't see him as a guy who can come in and just handle a massive scoring load. I know he did that a little bit in Washington, but he just hasn't grown from the prospect that he was coming into the league. So I know that he's cheap, and I know he's going to have the ball in his hands a ton. But I think the field's going to roster him in DFS at a really high rate, and I'm going to be under that number for sure. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't play Milwaukee Bucks, because I do think there are a lot of other good plays. Miles Turner, I'm totally fine with. He could fill it up a little bit. can add some defensive stats for you as well. Ryan Rollins, I think, is the guy I'm most interested in. Haven't seen what his points prop opened up at, but he's been scoring the basketball for them significantly, even alongside Giannis. Has taken a nice step forward, took over that starting point guard role when Kevin Porter Jr. went down, has been a nice player for them. So that's my first look on the Bucks is Rollins. And then I even prefer Portis, I think, over Kuzma. And that's probably a hot take, but I don't think that Kuzma is any good anymore. Moving down, I think you can look at props for guys like Cole Anthony and Gary Trent. They're both going to walk into a lot more usage than is typically available on this team. So I'm fine with any of the secondary pieces, but as far as DFS goes, I would be on the fade Kuzma train. And then I'd go overweight on maybe like a Bobby Portis to kind of gain some even further leverage.
Yeah, and these are all guys who were usage guys. There's a word I would say, but I couldn't say it. They were big-time usage guys in their former roles. I mean, even Bobby Portis, we saw when multiple Bucks would sit. I mean, we saw monster games from Portis, and he'd be mega chalk in the past. He's just really not getting the burn minutes-wise to make you feel good about it. Miles Turner had some sneaky boosts once in a while when he was on Indy, when some other guys would sit. So he's interesting as well. It's a really, really small sample size here. You can say the same thing for Cole Anthony. I mean, the guy, when he needed to be the guy for the Magic, he would chuck. We're talking really small sample size here, 88 minutes. Ryan Rollins, almost a 5% usage bump without Giannis and Kevin Porter. Miles Turner and Bobby Portis are both around a 4% bump as well. Again, we are young into the season here, so it's really tough to say. But, man, Cole Anthony is cheap. I kind of, it's a little uncomfortable. 4,700. I mean, will he get a little more burn? We'll see. You can see the upside at the 4,700 tag in some of these, in a couple of games here that he's had recently. So maybe it's a Cole Anthony tournament night. I don't know. Bales, I'm looking at some lines in this game. Miles Turner's at 16.5 points, 25.5 PRA. Gary Trent, 13.5 points. Kuzma's 17.5 points. Bobby Portis, 14.5, and Cole Anthony, 11.5. Is there anything on this side that's catching your attention?
The two that I think make the most sense for me specifically would be Bobby Portis. I think is a really good option just because we know essentially how good he can be. And then also Miles Turner. I think that both of them more for points than anything else. I think that they're both very viable. We just know that I guess they've been better about it recently, but like early in the season and even recently, they've just been better than like worst in the NBA. Charlotte bleeds points to centers. They aren't really terrible in terms of allowing rebounds like they were last year. I think that has a lot to do with that they brought in Kalkbrenner, who obviously a very good rebounder. But I do think that, a ton of points are available to bigs. And even if you're looking at like Portis, who's obviously going to spend some time at power forward, like, are you really that scared about Miles Bridges guarding him? I'm not overly concerned about that. I think that there's a pretty big size discrepancy there. Portis is going to be able to get to a spot. So I think if you're looking at Milwaukee, you kind of just go with one of the two big men. I would probably rank them Turner as my favorite, Portis right under him. But just one of those two on their points, I think, is good.
Anything on the other side, obviously, Charlotte is still in a world of hurt here. So for DFS purposes, I mean, this is going to be an integral game. I'm okay with spending some time on it because of all the injury news. Keith, what are your thoughts on the Hornets in this one?
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of off Bridges early in the day because he was going to get Giannis in this matchup. So definitely an improved matchup now for Bridges. But the guy I really like is Con Knippel. He has just exploded since LaMelo Ball went down with injury. Like he's putting up 40, 45 DraftKings points a night. He looks amazing. Like he's playing how we thought Cooper Flagg might play. It's like he's entering the Rookie of the Year conversation if he can keep this up when LaMelo gets healthy. But everything I've seen with LaMelo off the floor, I am on Knippel in a big way. I did bet his points and rebounds is the way that I played him today. It was at 23.5. I think it's come up a little bit since this morning. I will have to find a recent line for you. I think it was at 25.5. At one point, maybe we got it back to 24. Yeah, it's still sitting at 25.5. I'm still okay at that number. I mean, just because of what he's been doing recently, he's playing massive minutes as well. He's been up 34, 35 minutes a night. So kind of Knipple is my guy here for the Hornets.
Yeah, and usage rates all over 22 plus in the last 4 games, 22, 24, 28, 20. He's rebounding more effectively than I ever imagined he would be at this level. Bales, you got anything for the Hornets or any comments on Khan before we move on?
Yeah, I think that's the smart play. I also think most people, like, when they don't know that much about rookies, like, if you consider the way that he plays, he's a really smart basketball player, which generally can lead yourself more towards the steals and blocks because you just generally are in a better position than some other people would be. And he's dropping like 40 plus fantasy points a night, and he's not getting steals and blocks. I think he has like basically 1 steal a game over that span. I think there was a game where he did have a block or whatever. And I'm not saying like this guy's going to go put up 5 blocks. Like he's not, he doesn't have the size to do that. But to get a few steals, like I think that he does have more upside than the 40 points that he just keeps dropping here. But yeah, I think if you're attacking someone for Charlotte, I think that Khan's the guy that you're going to use. And I do think that his points and rebounds is smart. I think if you want to, you can add assists to that. I don't really have any issues with that. But this does feel like a matchup where he's going to score extremely well.
So is Colin Sexton just not capable of playing 40 minutes? It's crazy. Going back to the, a lot of games in Utah last season, like, why is he not playing 35 minutes? There's no LaMelo, no Brandon Miller. You need someone to put the ball in the hoop. Keith, I mean, do you have any Colin Sexton theories here? He's just, for his price, I would want to see 34, 35 minutes out of him. I know he can nuke because he's a usage guy on any given night, but I don't love the minutes.
It's just been since the injury, right? He just hasn't ever gotten back to that 30-minute a night type of role. I don't know if it's related to the injury or what the reasoning is behind it necessarily, but yeah, I agree that Utah wasn't willing to do it, and it doesn't really look like Charlotte's willing to do it either.
All right, let's move on to the next game here. We got Chicago and Detroit. Josh Giddey has that Q tag for the Chicago Bulls. And we got James Grande in the chat. It's James Grande's Chicago Bulls, and it's Keith Eister's Chicago Bulls. Bunch of Bulls homers here. So Giddey has the Q tag. And for Detroit, obviously, big stuff here. We might not get this news on this show. Cade, questionable. Jalen Duran got the downgrade from probable, which is typically bad news for someone's availability here. Is it a B-ball Paul night? I don't know. It sounds gross, but it could be a thing. Justin Bales talked to me about Bulls and Detroit.
Yeah, I mean, truthfully, it's pretty difficult to talk about because you were just waiting for all the news. I think, honestly, if Giddey gets ruled out, I would assume that they run a little bit more offense through Vucevic. Like, Trey Jones, his assists might look a little bit better than, there's not that much necessarily that I love. Obviously, Buzelis is kind of the guy that I don't want to say would take over the offense, but I would expect him to kind of become more of the scoring option there. Those three are kind of what I would look more towards in terms of Chicago. I think that Giddey's a reasonable option if he does play. Obviously, he has the very high usage for that team. I think that he's strong. On the other side, again, you're just waiting. Like, Cade Cunningham just took 45 shots in a game. What just a ridiculous number. Jalen Duran is pretty solid in this matchup. I think that they're both solid. Javonte Green, in terms of like DFS, kind of a gross play, but under 5K if you really want to go there. It's a gross game that is going to get way grosser as soon as they start ruling some guys out.
Boy, I don't know Javonte Green personally. He's probably a nice guy, but boy, do I despise Javonte Green nights when he's relevant. Just terrible usage player, not good at basketball, but he played damn near 40 minutes and had a double-double, and he was mega chalk the other night. So at least his price is almost 5K, but please, Lord, help us if it's another Javonte Green night. But you're right, it's a waiting game. It's tough to give some actual concrete analysis, until we find out what's going on. Obviously, Duran's been a monster, but the midday downgrade is more oftentimes than not bad news, Keith. Do you expect Duran to sit this one out if you had to guess?
I really hope that he plays. Maybe I hope that he doesn't play so that my bets on him can get voided, because I have some heavy investments into Jalen Duren. I think he's going to smash this matchup if he is healthy. He was one of my favorite bets this morning before the downgrade to questionable. I took him on points and rebounds at 33.5. That was up as high as 35.5, but he is going to absolutely cook Vucevic in this spot. Just far more athletic than the aging Nikola Vucevic. So if Duren plays, I absolutely love him. Like I said, I took his over on points and rebounds. Cade's been doing everything. So if he's out, then obviously it gets wide open from there for Detroit. I don't like playing Javonte Green either. I tried to fade him in that last spot. I had a little bit, but I was under the field. So I could get way overweight on Ron Holland. That did not work out whatsoever either. Thought Holland was ready to maybe step into a bigger role and could show us something, but picked up 2 quick fouls in that game right away, and he never got on track. He only ended up playing like 24 minutes despite starting. So yeah, it gets really dicey if both Cade and Duren are out. Like, we're good. Like, they're going to be relevant. It's just not going to be comfortable value. I think the Cleveland stuff is far better. We'll get to that game obviously, but yeah, kind of have to just wait and see. I don't think you can do anything with the Bulls until you know Giddey's situation. If Giddey's out, Trey Jones becomes relevant. Kevin Huerter, sneaky as well, has been a big usage guy for the Bulls this season. So keep an eye on Huerter if Giddey is ruled out.
Whenever you talk about this guy on the screen here, Jalen Smith, who James Grande in the chat is upset with, doesn't have goggles in his profile picture here. So he's not projecting anything like the 2 most recent performances, Keith or Bales. What are some reasonable expectations for Jalen Smith tonight? And does Giddey's availability affect Jalen Smith?
I love Smith in terms of, I wish that just a bad team would give that guy 35 minutes a night and let's see what he does. He was awesome in college. And then, I mean, yeah, like, you look at his fantasy points. He needs 20 minutes and he can drop 40 fantasy points. That's the type of player he is. He also needs 20 minutes and he can drop 5 fantasy points. You know, it happens sometimes. In terms of Giddey, I don't know how much I think Giddey affects him. I could see them like spreading minutes out a little bit along different ways, and Smith could kind of benefit and get a couple more. But I don't think like Giddey gets ruled out and all of a sudden Jalen Smith's playing 35 minutes in this game or anything. But yeah, I mean, I'm never opposed to him in a tournament. I don't think that really he's the type of guy that I'm locking into cash games though.
Yeah, if he was on a bad team, he'd be 8K on DK and FanDuel. He would just be absolutely raking. Keith, how do you project Jalen Smith tonight?
I mean, he's clearly getting a little bit more run here recently. So I think 21 minutes is within the range of outcomes. They have not been willing to run him and Vucevic on the floor together. They attempted it at times last season, but apparently didn't like the way that worked out in today's NBA, which makes sense. So it's they're kind of capped, and he's impacting Vucevic's minutes as well. So Vucevic is really tough to play. Yeah, I mean, I think I would play Jalen Smith before I played Vooch in DFS at this point.
Anything else from this game, or should we move on here? We have a lot to unpack. Hopefully there'll be a couple quicker games we can get through.
There's just one other like very fast thing. If Cade Cunningham gets ruled out, literally everyone is going to play Danis Jenkins, as they should. Also, I don't know where his props are going to end up, but they're going to get posted too low. If Cade is out, Danis Jenkins, all his stuff is going to be too low.
Loved him in college. Cool to see him have a really nice game the other night. I agree. Against a Bulls team who has traditionally played pretty fast the last couple of years. Should be a really nice matchup for him as well. Good call. That could be chalk in about 90 minutes. It might not be now, but it could be in about 90 minutes. Moving on here, we got the Knicks and the Magic, and this should be a fun one. Everyone is in fairly decent shape. We have one NBA game here where there's not a lot of missing body parts from anybody other than Mo Wagner. So I don't love this game for betting in DFS, so it's going to be quick for me. But in terms of a competitive Eastern Conference game, this is going to be fun to watch. Keith, throw it over to you first. What do you like in this one, if anything?
No one has been able to play with the Knicks recently. They keep rolling over teams. Their offense looks incredible. Brunson doing his thing, Cat doing his thing. So I'll be interested to see if Orlando can keep up. Orlando, we were all excited about coming into the season with the addition of Desmond Bane. He hasn't been making his shots. So that floor spacing that they were going for with that acquisition that looked like it was going to fit so well, we're still waiting for that to kind of work out. So hopefully Orlando can keep up here. Towns is always the guy that I look at first. Just an absolute monster. His rebounds are what I was on earlier. If you can still get that at 12.5, I'm looking right now. Wow, it looks like, yeah, there's a 10.5 out there for Towns. That seems way too low.
Love to see that.
Yeah, I like that quite a bit.
I'm also seeing 13.5 rebounds plus assists on Underdog. I mean, I know he's not a huge distributor, but that feels like it might give you a couple more outs, possibly.
Yeah, I mean, he'll pick up a couple of assists. Not a huge distributor, like you said, but he's usually good for at least 2. I don't really have anything else here. It's a good team. It's a good real life basketball game, but not much for me for betting or DFS even.
Wendell Carter nuked the other night. He's been okay. You know, he's had some games. Look at this game log. He's had a couple of games where he's just giving you like around 7 times value. Very inconsistent. He's a maddening player to roster most nights. But talk about this game in general. Magic Knicks. You got anything for this one, Bales?
Yeah, I think there's a few. I like some of the lower lines. I'll start with a much higher one. Jalen Brunson at 26.5 points. I think you can get plus odds on this. At least you could earlier. And I kind of like that. Orlando has been really bad against scoring point guards, and Brunson's just the kind of guy that can completely take a game over. I also think that it's a spot where you can ladder. If this game stays close between the two, Brunson can drop 35 points kind of without blinking. Some of the other spots that I like, though, like Landry Shamet it's ugly, but he's set at 4.5 points. His role's kind of been increasing. He's getting right around 20 minutes a game now. And I believe it's in games with 18 plus minutes on the season. He's dropped, I think, like 8 plus points in all those. Like, it's not really that close to the 5 he would need. And he's averaging like probably 10 plus points in those games. So I think that Shamet makes a lot of sense, especially because Orlando just throughout the entire season has struggled kind of against the smaller positions. They've struggled against point guard, shooting guards, small forward. They've been much better against power forwards and centers in terms of what they allow scoring. So I think that those types of props kind of make sense to me. And then on the other side, I think you can run assists against the Knicks because obviously point guards average a ton of assists against them. Number one, you have Jalen Suggs. He was set at 4.5, which I think is reasonably fine. And Anthony Black was also set at 1.5, just way too low. So I would prefer Black out of the two, but I also understand, Suggs is the guy that's going to pass the ball a little bit more. So I think those are kind of the props that I would be looking at. But overall, completely agree. Just a much better real life game than like DK game for this.
Yeah, Tibbs might be gone, but the Knicks are still doing some goofy stuff. Like Jordan Clarkson, you were not allowed to play in the first quarter. Play almost the entire second quarter and most of the third, not the fourth at all. Josh Hart, don't look now, played a season high 30 minutes. He's been bad, but 5,600 on DK. We know he could fill it up with some peripheral stuff. That's kind of interesting for tournaments. I have to check pace stats. Are the Magic still playing pretty fast this year? I know that was a thing the first couple of weeks. So their pace is still up. Keith, you're shaking your head. Yes.
They're still up there, more like faster than you would have thought, but not like top of the league like they were the first few games. They are 14th currently.
Still a bump from the nails.
Yeah, they were towards the bottom of the league last year. Yep.
Yeah. Love Grande jumping in our chat here. Fantasy Alarm does a lot of good stuff, and Grande helps steer that ship over there. So shout out to Grande. Maybe he's our version of the old Around the Horn with Tony Reale. He's our Reale when he was Stat Boy. So Grande, if you could just keep fetching us some info, we'd greatly appreciate that. Can't put you on payroll though, but yeah. Anyway, appreciate you, Grande. Let's move on here to Boston and Memphis. Both teams here on the second leg of a back-to-back. The Q tag for Ja. Obviously, freaking Memphis. I mean, just a wild season. Season and a half going back to last year. So just collectively, what do we think about this one, guys? Obviously, Boston on the wrong end of a nail biter against Philly last night. Jaylen Brown had a pretty terrible start. He was 0 for 5 in the first quarter. I live bet him to score 25 plus, and he clunked the free throw at the end. Love live betting hoops though. I mean, there's another conversation to be had about live betting and overreactions from books and things like that. Anyway, tough game here. I guess any hypotheticals revolving Ja, Bales, I'll throw it over to you. Any interest in this game, or do you kind of need to know Ja's status before you kind of look into things deeper?
I think in terms of Memphis, Santi Aldama kind of sticks out a little bit to me. I think that he's a pretty good option, can score well. Boston struggled at times against bigs who can score. So I think that regardless of Ja, he's an interesting guy that you can look at there. Outside of that, I pretty much need to know Ja because like he just is going to take up so much usage and just not a ton else that truthfully I think I even like without Ja in. I know that stuff opens up a little bit more, and I can't say that I've looked super deep into it because obviously I am just waiting for that news. But Aldama's kind of the guy that I would be cool with either way. And then on the other side, it's ugly. I mean, it's ugly, but Derek White, at some point, he's gonna have to turn into the old Derek White. He's obviously scoring a little bit better in recent games. He looks like he's kind of getting back on track, and I feel like this is kind of the spot. Memphis really struggles against point guards. They really struggle against shooting guards. It kind of doesn't matter which way they're going to play that. So you have guys like Peyton Pritchard, Anthony Simons, Derek White. All three of them, I think, are reasonable options. But I think of the three, White would probably be my top guy.
Keith, this is a really big pace-up spot for Boston if you're looking for an angle. So I like the Derek White call. He might not need to be much more efficient because of the pace uptick for that Memphis, will likely force Boston to play at least for a portion of this game. I know they're both on the second leg of a back-to-back, maybe some tired legs here. Anything else in this one, Keith?
I really like Bale's Aldama call. I am on that as well. His points and rebounds, the minutes are trending in a very good direction for him. He was playing around 25, 26 minutes a night to begin the season. He's been up around 29, 30 over the last 3 or 4 games. So Aldama, I like that call from Bales. Cedric Coward, another guy who has been playing awesome basketball this season. An older prospect coming into the league, just hit the ground running with this team and has earned a massive role. He's now playing around 30 minutes a night as well. Kind of took over what we thought the role of Jalen Wells might be with Desmond Bane shipped out of town. But Coward is the guy who actually looks great in that role. I would look at his points line. I believe it was 14 and a half. Yes, 14 and a half points for Coward. I like that. If Ja gets ruled out, then Coward in DFS would be an awesome look, I think. Man, this DFS slate could end up with so much value. On the other side there, Boston, Jaylen Brown's usage is just insane, off the charts, 35% plus, somewhere in that range. Simons is a guy that I like a good amount. I don't think you need him for DFS just because of how much value has opened up, but there is some chatter in Boston. Our guy John Mpemba, the other fellow there from Fantasy Alarm, as we keep referencing those guys, alerted me to this the other day when I was on a show with him that the Boston media is clamoring for Simons to get more run, and the last 2 games he has. So I like him over 14 and a half points in this spot. Think he has a good chance to play upper 20s minutes in a fast-paced game against Memphis. So Simon's a guy I would look to for the points prop.
I mean, plus the guy's a microwave, and maybe the new show title is "Guys Who Are Usage Hogs on Bad Teams," because he's another one. I mean, the guy is sub 5K on DK, and he had a couple shots last night. I didn't realize he was 5 of 15. I feel like the ball's going in a little more than that, but he didn't even shoot well. And he put up 30 DK points, which is big. Just for time purposes, we'll move on here. If you're playing FanDuel or the late night hammer betting, Zach LaVine was ruled out. Grande says, if I'm reality, your Blackstone, Keith, is Woody Page, and Bales is Jay Mariotti. Pretty crazy. I don't know. Those are decent comps, though. They were kind of OGs of Around the Horn. Pour one out for Around the Horn. So part of our childhood, I don't know about you guys, but it was like, get home from school is PTIing around the horn, or, even nowadays, like you go to a happy hour and Around the Horn's on mute and I'm just like watching the subtitles while I am able to get out for a beer, Joe Flacco style. Anyway, let's move on here. Again, Alpha Dog Sports Bets joining the show with us. My old friend here, we go way back. He'll be joining us momentarily to help us break down the rest of the slate and share some best bets, but we'll keep moving on for time purposes here. We will at least get you through the DK slate, and if you have any other questions on the Late Night Hammer stuff, drop them in the chat. Grande's lonely in the YouTube chat. Give us a follow, subscription. The support really helps. We appreciate you guys for tuning in. We talked about Cleveland, the hockey line change. And we have Miami, who is playing faster this year there without Bam. Your boy, Hami. Is it Hami or Jamie? I don't even know. We're going to go with Hami. Triple J here. He's been balling out. So enough pleasantries about this one. We know Cleveland is sitting a bunch of people for no reason, in case you're just tuning in. No Donovan Mitchell, no Darius Garland, no Evan Mobley for no damn reason. Talk to me, Keith. What sticks out in this one?
Everything sticks out in this one. This is the game of the night, obviously, not just because of the value on Cleveland, but because both of these teams play at a lightning quick pace. Cleveland is 7th in the league. Miami is the fastest team in the league. So we just saw this game on Monday, put up like 280 points in overtime. It's just an awesome game environment. I love a ton of props in this spot. You touched on Jaime Jaquez and what he's been doing here recently. Hit his PRA on Monday at 25.5. Dude puts up 42 PRA. Now he is sitting at only 27.5 PRA in this exact same matchup, but now we're missing Evan Mobley on the other side. Like, this is just a smash spot for Jaime Jaquez. The role that he's had without Bam Adebayo has been unbelievable. I don't know why the books are not giving him the respect, but that number, PRA for Jaquez, is way too low. And then on the other side, somebody has to pick up the usage here that's being left behind by their three highest usage players, really. Mitchell has a ton of usage. Garland is just kind of getting into the swing of things, and Mobley's been up over 25% or around there. I think the best candidate who's going to do that is DeAndre Hunter. He has just played incredible since he came over to the Cavs. He does a little bit of everything as well, so I'm on the PRA line here. But I think the usage is what's really going to carry that. He'll rebound and get a few assists as well. But I think he could score 30 actual points in this game, and it would not surprise me at all. It's a great matchup against a fast-paced Miami team who is without their best defender in Bam Adebayo. So give me Hunter PRA over and Jaquez over PRA are my two favorite bets in this game.
Yeah, but I'm seeing a 22.5 points line on Hunter on Underdog as well. Bales, I'll throw it over to you while we get our guy Alpha Dog set up here.
Yeah, I think Keith absolutely nailed it. Dude broke it down pretty much perfectly. I think I would add Norman Powell. I think believe he just dropped 33 in the last game. Love this spot for him. Cleveland struggles against shooting guards, specifically ones that can score. Obviously, that's what Norman Powell does. So I like Norman Powell there. And then I also think if you want to just take like a ridiculous ladder, just go on Sam Merrill. The dude strictly shoots threes. He just took 16 in the last game, I believe. Like, he didn't hit a ton of them, but he is a really good shooter. And if he catches fire early in a game and they're just going to essentially give him the green light from deep, like, the dude will just chuck threes like crazy. So I don't think that's like an overly safe bet, but I'm sure you can get pretty good odds for him to hit a few threes.
Alpha Dog has entered the chat. He heard game of the night. His ears were burning. It's great to see you. We don't have time for pleasantries because we have way more important stuff to talk about here. A ton of injuries in this Cleveland-Miami game. I told you when you joined, we'd throw you right into the fire. So just generally speaking, no one's playing for Cleveland. I mean, it's just crazy. Alpha Dog, talk to me about this game. What are your thoughts?
Quickly, thank you guys for having me on. You guys do some fantastic content. Was watching the show. Absolutely fantastic. But man, feels like that's the story of a lot of NBA games today. And it feels like it's the story of the season so far. It's really, how are you going to manage making your bets with the injury reports we have at that time? Sometimes they're coming out so close to game time. It's been very difficult to kind of get that ready. But this Cavs game tonight looks like it's a complete disaster with the lineup. You're definitely right about that.
Yeah, for sure. We're watching this situation. If you're just joining, we're waiting on some Jalen Duren news for Detroit. He got downgraded to questionable. Cade Cunningham, who took a bajillion shots the other night, is also questionable. So there are just some games that are really hard to touch here. You guys got anything else in this one, or should we move on to Golden State and San Antonio? All right. We'll move on here. We have Mr. Wemby and Curry, 8 o'clock Eastern tonight. I mean, Wemby just finally had a monster game. I mean, if you're talking for DFS, his ceiling is always through the roof. I mean, 5 blocks is a walk in the park for this guy. Monster numbers here. He kind of was in a little bit of a rut for about a week, but he snapped out of it against that Vucevic interior, Keith, that you mentioned was very exploitable. On the other side, we have Curry, 8,800. Missed a couple of games here. One of the old guys who should be sitting once in a while instead of this youth movement who we're load managing for no reason here. A couple of Q tags here as well. Kuminga is questionable. Throw it over to you, Keith. Any bets in this one or any DFS takes?
Nothing from a DFS standpoint. Golden State's really tough to play. They're playing a really deep rotation. Kerr loves to change up his rotation, so just a really hard team to play. San Antonio, obviously, you can always play Wemby. We also have De'Aaron Fox back now, so it kind of takes away from Castle, who's a little bit overpriced, who was absolutely balling without Fox and has been balling even with Fox. Just a little bit worried about the upside now that Fox is back in the lineup. I think my favorite bet in the game is De'Aaron Fox points. Just feel like he's going to step into that number 2 scorer role right behind Wemby very nicely. His scoring was down a little bit when he came over last season, but now that he's had the offseason to get integrated, I believe that he's going to just have a much higher usage rate than he had with the team last year. 19.5 points for a guy who regularly put up 25 in his career seems pretty low to me. So I'm going to keep hammering Fox points until that line moves up.
Talk to me, Justin Bales. 37 minutes for Fox in his second game back. That's the real deal right there. Any interest in this game?
Yeah, I think 2 things. One, I think Wemby, if you want to go points, rebounds, and assists, I think it makes a lot of sense. I don't think that Golden State has essentially anyone that can match up with him in terms of size. And when you look at basically do you feel good about Quentin Post guarding Wemby? Because I don't. It's just not something that's going to happen. So I think Wemby makes a lot of sense there. And then I do 100% agree with Keith. Golden State's been really bad against point guards. Even I know that Castle's taking on, obviously, a very large role coming off the Rookie of the Year. He looks fantastic. But even Dylan Harper was taking plenty of shots. It's not like Fox is going to be shy about shooting the ball here. So I think that the Fox call is really nice.
My connection was selling me out there. My bad. Alpha, a lot of star power in this one. A lot of bodies, though, right? I mean, a lot of mouths to feed, especially on the Spurs side. Anything in this one on your end?
I agree with taking Wemby's PRA over. I think he's going to have a million rebounds in this game. I agree with exactly what Justin said here, that who's going to be really going up with him? Who's going to really be fighting for rebounds against Wemby? I think he's going to dominate in that stat category. One thing for me as well on this game, I am going to be taking the Warriors on the spread plus the 3.5, which is, I know, a little weird because I just said I love the Wemby and who's going to be able to stop him. But when you take a look at the public betting action on this game, there is 78% on the Spurs, and the line has not gone in their favor. It has stayed where it is. The money line is about it the same as well. So for me, this one is going to be a strict public fade. I do think the Warriors will play a good game here. And there's just a lot of money that's coming in on the Spurs side. I know the Spurs have been a hot, trendy team early this season. They have Wemby, they have Harper, they have a ton of guys, with star power coming into the league. I know Harper's not there right now, but with this current roster, with the way they currently are, I do think they will struggle with Steph Curry. I think they'll struggle to keep the Warriors from scoring. So for me, I'm taking the Warriors plus the 3.5, and I'm going to be taking Wemby's over on PRA.
Like that call a lot. Good stuff, Alpha. By the way, give our guy a follow here. Alpha Dog Bets or Alpha Dog Sports Bets on Twitter. Alpha Dog Bets. Yeah, great stuff. Puts out a lot of free picks. I love the F-it play too. You give it an F-it play with the gift.
Yes.
Yeah, love it. So good stuff. Love it around March Madness too. You put out a lot of good March Madness content. You and Bales should get together with some hoops. I know you guys are entrenched in the March Madness field. Bales, I mean, you're putting out some collab plays and some free slips and stuff too. So we're in November and no one takes days off in college hoops. So a lot of content from our guys in the chat here as well. Washington and Houston, we briefly talked about Alex Sarr taking a big step. DFS streets, he's earned that 7,300 price tag for sure. We've seen a little bit of CJ McCollum resurgence, 25 shots in his last game was uber efficient though. That's tough to kind of rely on here. On the other side, the Rockets, Şengün does it all. Thompson, Durant, everyone's fully intact in this one. Got the old narrative though, sort of. The DMV and Kevin Durant thing, although it's not in Washington. Alpha Dog, I'll throw it over to you first since you joined us a little late here. You got anything to say on this one?
This one's tough because the blowout factor is always a risk when you see a 17-point line in these two teams. So for me, this is a stay-away game. This one feels a little trappy. On the betting side, let me quickly see here what we have for the public betting percentages. I do feel like the Rockets are going to have a hefty share, and of course they do. On the money line, they have 95%, which is absurd at a minus 1,600. Who would take that? And on the spread, they're getting 70% as well. That was coming in at 16.5, which got it up to the 17.5 you're seeing across the board. For props with me, especially on 17-point games and lines like that, I tend to stay away just because the blowout factor is always in play. And we all know we've had a great first half, even a great third quarter. We're only a couple points away from getting that cash. And what happens? They pull everyone because it's a 30-point blowout. So for me, this is one I'm definitely going to be staying away.
Yeah, it's tough with the big spread games and stuff. And for Houston, when everyone's in, it's generally tough for DFS, Keith. But you look at the Washington matchup, and I would imagine there has to be at least some large field tournament interest.
There certainly is, because there's some guys with some massive ceilings on this team. Now, it's tough to figure out which guy it's going to be on any given night. But Şengün, Amen Thompson, Kevin Durant can all go for huge games at any time. So I think you mix those guys in if you're playing more than, say, 10 lineups or so. I think you can get to Şengün is the one that I really have the preference for because of the matchup. Washington has struggled against the center position for years and years. I took Şengün over 38.5 PRA today as well. I think he can get there in 3 quarters. He's beat that PRA number in his last 4 matchups. And Washington is about the absolute best possible matchup you can get for PRA. They allow the most points. I believe it's like the 5th most rebounds and the 3rd most assists, something like that. They're in the top 5 of all 3 categories. Şengün should absolutely cook here. Durant, I struggle. I don't think he finds his ceiling as often as Şengün does. So in DFS, I will play some Şengün for sure, just because of that massive ceiling.
Bales, any takes, or should we move on?
Yeah, I mean, it's always difficult to play a 17 spread. Like, it's so dumb. Three points in the NBA are constantly blowouts. Like 17 is just like yelling at you. If you are locked and loaded on playing something in it, Keith nailed it. Şengün's the number 1 option. Obviously, Washington's really bad against centers. They're also terrible against point guards. So Amen Thompson, if you want to throw in like his points, it's fine. Really, for me, there's just no chance that I would play anything in this, but I don't generally touch stuff with more than like probably a 12-point spread. So, 5.5 past that is getting to the point where like I just won't even look at the game, honestly.
2 more games on the DK slate here. I know we're coming up on 5 o'clock here. The other 3 late night hammer games are on FanDuel. If you got any questions or any interest in those games, drop them in the chat here. I will kind of just lump these last 2 DK games together. We have Portland and New Orleans, and Denny has been an animal. I mean, he's playing great basketball. I don't even know if the theory is a good player and a bad team. I think Portland is pretty sneaky. All right, finally they got some fun pieces. So the Blazers we could definitely talk about. We're kind of waiting on Trey Murphy to get going fantasy wise. And still filling up the stat sheet a little bit. Took 22 shots a couple games ago. It's been fun watching Jeremiah Fears. So, and of course, you got Dallas and Phoenix, and AD is not playing. PJ Washington's been pretty good. Cooper Flagg has been, well, he looks like a rookie. D'Angelo Russell's been a tough watch so far this season. So I'll kind of open the floor for these last 2 games because I want to talk some best bets and see if Alpha Dog has any final takes. So, Keith, over to you first. Obviously, Denny's a talking point for DFS.
Yes, he's a talking point for betting for me as well. Dude's been really good since he came to Portland. Even at the end of last season, he was just putting up these monster performances. We're starting to see that again. You touched on it. I think Portland is a team that's going to take a massive step forward this season. I think they're a legitimately good basketball team. It's because of young guys like Denny. Shaedon Sharp's a nice player. And then they have a nice mix of veterans as well. Jrue Holiday has come into this team and just seamlessly transitioned into a leader for this young team, and it was exactly what they needed. It's going to elevate them to the next level. Drew has been playing like vintage Drew. Got his rebounds and assists at 11.5 this morning. I think it's 12.5 most places right now. I still like it over 12.5. He's averaging 13 on the season. Books are just still not giving him quite the respect for the role that he has for this Portland team. Drew is probably the guy I've bet the most this season, and I'm not going to stop anytime soon, especially in a fantastic matchup against New Orleans, who has one of the worst defenses in basketball. I like Denny's PRA for that reason as well. He's been up over 40 a couple of times. The line is sitting at 38.5. I touched on that. New Orleans defense, they're 28th in defensive efficiency. So just an absolute smash spot for Denny.
Alpha, over to you. These last two games, you're shaking your head about the Blazers talk here. What are your thoughts on this team? I think that's where you want to go.
I think Denny's an absolute dog, and I agree with you 100%, Keith. I think you absolutely need to be riding his PRA until the wheels fall off right now. He's been an absolute animal, and you're going up against a defense that gives up 1 million points a night. So I think he will fill up the stat sheet. I think it will be a big performance from the Blazers, and I agree with what you guys said about this team. I think they're going to surprise people as the season goes on. They're going to continue to hang around. I don't see them having a massive fall off. I think they're going to continue to play well throughout the duration of the season. But the big thing I wanted to talk about was Dallas. Was Anthony Davis being out yet again? And I do think that's the main reason Nico Harrison got fired. You're seeing Luka Doncic do amazing in LA, and you can't get AD on the court. He hasn't played once this month. So PJ Washington has filled into the role fantastically. I'm glad you brought that up because that's exactly where I was going to go with this. I think he's going to put up some points tonight as well. I think PJ has a good game. I'm also riding the Mavs in their first Nico Harrison free game tonight. I think they have a big performance, and I think they will come out victorious. I know they have not been a fun team to bet this year. Cooper Flagg's kind of started his NBA career a little slower than people have wanted, but you said it perfectly. He's a rookie. All the people that have been panicking about him, can we give him 25 games? Can we wait a little bit more than 11 games to see what he turns into and to see his development? But I love the Mavs tonight. I love PJ tonight. And I love Denny tonight from what we just talked about.
Bales, anything in these last two games you want to touch on? And then I'll throw it back over to Alpha before he heads out of here to kind of get some favorite picks of the night from the earlier games.
Yeah, it's not all that often that I like several plays in one game, but I think that like they basically nailed it. But for me, just Portland makes a lot of sense. Denny, obviously, I'm not going to talk about it again. We can go quick. Drew, I know that Keith talked about his rebounds and assists. Add in points for that. New Orleans is atrocious against both guards. And then just in terms of them being terrible against both, I think the Shaedon Sharpe also, I would only go his points with, Holiday and Denny kind of taking up a bunch of the rebounds and assists in this type of matchup. But I like all three of those for Portland, and don't bet all three of them tonight. That's not a good idea. The spread's almost 10. There is blowout potential. You're going to want to pick and choose your favorites. Don't just go loading up on a team like that. But I do think that all three of those are in really good spots for this game.
Alpha, I know you got to go first, so I'll throw it over to you and feel free to take off after us. Go follow Alpha Dog Bets. Awesome content he puts out, and hopefully we can cross some paths on a few shows moving forward as well. But we covered a lot of ground before you joined here, a lot of early games, and spoiler alert, you are a Knicks fan, so I can throw you that softball if you want. Big Eastern Conference battle there. Anything in these early games that catches your attention here?
I have a big parlay tonight. I have a big parlay I'm taking, and you kind of made my credibility here a little bit lower for what I'm about to say, but the Knicks are the first leg of that parlay. Undefeated at home this year. They've been absolutely fantastic in their new system, with their new coach, with their new rotational pieces, and I am taking the Knicks as the first leg of my parlay. I am parlaying them with the OKC Thunder tonight on the money line as well. The parlay is currently at a plus 117 odds. I think that should be priced a little higher, so for me, I'm definitely going to be taking that. Looking at the rest of the board tonight for just straight bets, like I said earlier, I am taking the Warriors plus the 3.5. That's a best bet for me, and believe it or not, I am going to be taking the Detroit Pistons. I know we don't know exactly who's going to be playing for them yet, but this team plays like a cohesive unit. They play together, and they do a fantastic job of winning basketball games right now. To me, I know it's important to have a guy like Duren in there. It's important to have a guy like Cade Cunningham in there. But even if they don't go, I'm still confident that this team with their depth will still be able to get a big win tonight against the Bulls, who that's a team I think will fall back a little bit. That's a team I do not anticipate staying as good as they've been in the early part of the season. So yet again, I am going to be on the Pistons as my other play of the day for tonight.
I don't hate the Knicks pick. We were talking Jordan Clarkson the last couple of days. That's a sneaky spark plug they have for 18, 20 minutes off the bench and something they really needed the last couple of years. So you heard it here, the Alpha Dog Parlay. That's Alpha Dog Bets, and you can follow him on Twitter. Thanks for joining us, buddy. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, guys. Hope we can chop it up again soon. It's been an absolute pleasure.
We definitely will. Go give him a follow, Alpha Dog Bets. We'll see you again soon. Mr. Alpha Dog puts out a lot of free content. Guys. He goes live every day as well. And for us three here, if there's any questions in the chat, we will tackle them. But just from a macro standpoint, we covered a lot of ground here. Any other bets or any other DFS thoughts or angles or anything on your mind, Keith? I'll throw it over to you first.
I don't think I have any other bets that we did not discuss. Obviously, for DFS, the Pistons stuff is going to be huge as far as how we attack the slate. It's already a slate that's loaded with value. There could be even more value. John Morant's still questionable as well. So lots of moving pieces still for the DFS slate, but I don't have anything else.
Yeah, I guess a gross name, I don't mean it figuratively, but we haven't seen Karis LeVert do anything. If Cade Cunningham misses and Thompson's out, is Karis LeVert kind of in the equation here? It feels very, very uncomfy, if you will. But, I mean, again, a guy who we don't know if he's good anymore. Good. But in his former roles, this was the guy who could do a lot of bulk damage, Keith. Have you thought about Karis LeVert at all?
I haven't, because I'm really concerned about the minutes limit. We have not seen him play more than 20 minutes all season long. So he's missed a couple of games now with injury. I cannot imagine a scenario where he plays more than 20 minutes, even if they only have like 8 guys.
Yeah, if you missed the beginning of the show, and shout out to Alpha Dog again for joining us, Jenkins is the play if Cade Cunningham ends up sitting. So Bells, just to reinforce that, good chalk to you if Cade Cunningham is out?
Yeah, you have to play him. If Cunningham is out, Jenkins is quite literally the first guy that you put in your lineup. You don't remove him regardless of any type of construction for me. If there's an issue fitting in other guards, Jenkins, assuming no Cunningham, Jenkins will be my number one play of the night. He'll also be number one bets. I know that they'll probably come out with something stupid and put his lines at just some ridiculous number and I'll look like an idiot, but there's almost no way they're going to set any of his stuff as high as it should be.
Yeah, and just kind of in summary, if you're tuning in late, our guy Alpha Dog here who joined us at Alpha Dog Bets, he took the Knicks and he's parlaying them with the Thunder. He also likes the Warriors with the spread as well. Keith likes Denny a lot. I'm gathering that's one of your favorite props today. Who else did we hit earlier, guys, that you guys are significantly interested in? Jaquez?
Yeah, Jaquez is one of my favorite bets. I also like Drew with Denny on the rebounds and assists. That's why I played. I completely agree with Bales that Holiday has been awesome with the ball too for points. But because I'm playing Denny, I'm kind of wanting Denny to go way over on his points to help him get over his PRA. And Holiday does a little bit more of the facilitating there. So Holiday points or rebounds and assists rather. Con Knipple was another one of my favorites, and Alper and Şengün PRA was another one of my favorites.
Yeah, before we get out of here, and by the way, give us a follow on our YouTube channel, please, folks, so we can keep giving you this awesome free content and all of our stuff at props.com, props.com, completely free. Picks, betting advice, everything. NBA, we have NHL, everything you could imagine we have for free, props.com. And boy, did Alpha hit that on the head before he left. I think he has a crystal ball on his side of the wall over there. I don't know if you saw the recent update from Underdog NBA, but according to Mr. Mark Stein, the Mavs believe to work with Anthony Davis camp over the next 2+ months to decide whether to pursue in-season trade. Coming just after the canning of Mr. Nico, I'm going to go ahead and say it. What a shit show. What any immediate reaction, boys? I mean,
if they could get someone like Luka Doncic for him, that would be incredible, right? And I mean, dude, Dallas is in such a good spot. If we're being honest, Dallas is in a really good spot because of Cooper Flag. Like, I know that he's been struggling earlier, but he's still a generational prospect, and it lets him do that. Like, they're going to get a boatload for him, I don't think this is exactly what their plan was when they traded a top 5 player, top 3 player in the entire league. But it's going to work out fine, I would assume, for him. I don't know. You go ahead.
I don't understand how you fire Nico at this point. If you're going to allow the guy to trade Luka Doncic, how do you not let him see it through? You get the absolute nut outcome and land the first pick out of nowhere, and you don't even give him time to play it out. I know you have to appease a fan base and all of that, and it looks really, really bad right now. But I don't think after they flip Anthony Davis and add 2 or 3 first-round picks for him, it's not going to be terrible. Did it set your franchise back 4 or 5 years? It absolutely did. And if Nico's vision was we're never going to get back to a championship game series with Luka Doncic, then I kind of understand why he made the move. I don't think that Anthony Davis was the right player to target in that type of a move. I think that you should have shopped Luka Doncic and you could have gotten way, way more than they did get for him. But I don't think the actual idea that you need to move on from Luka with what they had seen, I assume that they had approached him about his conditioning many, many times, and they just saw no progress in 2-3 years. So I get why they were ready to move on. I think it was poorly executed how they moved on, but then they were completely bailed out with the Cooper Flag thing. So
what if the way that the Mavs are looking at it, and I could certainly see this, is that he botched Luka's trade so bad that they're about to deal Anthony Davis. Are they going to let him do it again?
I have a recent crippling anxiety that took over me that Daryl Morey is going to do something so stupid because he can't help himself but get involved in some swing of the fence, even if it's for someone who's broken more oftentimes than not. I am terrified. I am terrified right now that Anthony Davis is publicly available and Daryl Morey has a smartphone and probably saw it already. That just freaking sends me, man. Oh, God. You might be right, though. Like, why should maybe their perspective is, why should we give this guy the privilege of trying to make a correct deal again, to try to right the ship just for a great city in a great area who's dealt with the nonsense of Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys in, a great sports area for decades. And, a team that was just in the NBA championship. I feel for him. You can say what you want about Cowboys and America's team and we them boys, but I actually feel for the sports fans in that area because Dallas will not get any better until Jerry's gone. And clearly the Mavericks have some organizational chaos now that they need to get right quickly. I don't know. Anyway, maybe they should just put Kendrick Perkins in charge of the team at this point. I don't know. Like, which worse could it get? Anyway, that's Keith Eister. Where can the people find you on Twitter, my friend?
You can find me at EYS819 DFS. I'll put some bets out and everything. I'm writing a bunch of articles for props. Those articles go up on the Twitter machine. Writing for a couple of other places as well. So if you're looking for NBA props, I got you covered there for sure. And
Justin Bales, where are you at? Not hard to find.
Yeah, at Bales S Justin. I do so much college basketball right now, and obviously not all of it, but a bunch of it gets posted to Twitter. So if you're into college, you should probably click that follow button.
Agreed. And you should go on YouTube and please give us a follow and a subscription so we can keep doing this show every Wednesday. And we're back right here every Friday from 4 to 5 talking NFL with the Showdown King, Jeff Edelstein. Can't wait to chop it up with our guy again on Friday to talk some football. Again, props.com, all of our content 100% free. Whatever you want is up there at props.com. Drop some info in the comments. Tell us what you want to hear, what you liked, what you didn't like. And again, our Discord, another 100% free resource we have at Props. So we're going to get out of here. Good luck in all of your fantasy basketball and betting endeavors tonight. That was Alpha Dog Bets, who joined us earlier today. That's Keith Eister. That's Justin Bales. And I am Justin Carlucci. Enjoy, everybody, and have a good night.